Thank you, everybody, for coming. Oh, that's the clicker for the thing. Welcome to our Transforming Your Ideas into Virtual Reality. And the fact is, you can transform anything into virtual reality. Your imagination, your dreams, your hopes, your books. We have done a lot of stuff. I am Michelle Deborah Weisblat-Dane. It did work. Okay. I am from CompuBear Consortium, where we have taken your hopes, your dreams, books, George R. Martin's Game of Thrones. We have taken Larry Niven's Ringworld, and we have brought them into virtual reality for you to be able to experience. But anything that you have, any ideas or dreams or hopes, just like a holodeck, we can take those and make those into your realities that you can interact with, you can exchange with, you can see those words on the page come to life. I am here with Helen. There we go. She has written an amazing book, and I recommend that everybody go out and read it, because it really is a wonderful book. It's written about historical facts that they have wonderfully brought to life, but it is also as relevant then as relevant today. And so you get the chance to experience that for yourself, and I'll let Helen tell you about herself.
Sure. And this is on? Yes, good. So we're here today to talk about the book you see in the middle there, Sour Milk and Sheep's Wool, which is a book about my great-grandmother and another family member of mine that I cannot mention because I would spoil the plot. But so one of my characters, her name is Hannah. She was a suffragette, as people said at that time. Now we usually say suffragist, but she was a suffragette. And in 1890, she opened a cafe where she met her women friends to advocate first for temperance, and then that evolved into the suffrage movements, and then later for suffrage. So she met all her friends there, and it became a real close-knit community, and it really inspired me. So that's how I thought of the idea of having her cafe in virtual reality, and now I'm doing what she did. I'm gathering my women friends there, and that's why it's called the Foremothers Café. In the book, it's called the Frog, and there's a lot of frogs in my cafe, as Christi knows, who built it.
We will get there. And we have Christi.
Yes, sorry.
No, that's okay. And we have Christi here, who built her wonderful. So we're giving you an example of taking an idea from the pages of a book and how to transform those pages, how to transform that idea, that dream, that thought that Helen had into an actual virtual world that you can experience. And Christi can tell us about her.
Well, hey everyone, I'm Christi of Cause and Christi, which if you were here just a few minutes ago, you caught Cause on stage. We create virtual worlds, and working with Helen was really amazing. So we first read the book. Helen gave us Sour Milk and Sheep's Wool, and we read and got to connect with the characters, understand the story of these women coming together in the cafe, in the book, meeting, having these meaningful discussions to be able to plan and move forward, and the general purpose behind taking the cafe from the novel and bringing it into virtual reality so that those discussions can continue in our modern world as we honor what our foremothers have done. Was a really amazing project, and being able to work with Helen on it felt really good because she had a true purpose for why she wanted to bring that bit of her novel out into the real world. So into virtual reality, which is the real world. I call this the physical world. All of it's the real world. And bring everyone together. So a little bit later, we'll get into some of the details, but Helen knows so many historical tidbits, and it's so amazing working with someone who could be like, oh yes, and then the beams, you see the Tudor beams, and let's make them slightly asymmetrical here.
We're gonna start with, the first step we had was doing drawings, so tell us about those.
Yeah, so when I started this...
Mike?
Oh, sorry.
We can't
now,
hear you.
Oh, now you can hear me?
Yeah, no.
So as you can tell, I am not a world builder. I used pencil and paper and drew how I imagined the cafe in my book. how it looked. That's how I pictured it, and it's very interesting. I had a guest at the Foremothers Café a while ago, and she said, you know, we're inside your brain. And it's like, yes, you are. You're inside my brain. So I started with that, and then Christi.
We turn it over to Christi, where she turns it in, turned it into.
Right. So the first step in any world build is just blocking, like playing with Legos. You establish a sense of space. Like, okay, so we're going to have this amount of space for people to gather in. We'll have some tables here, and you can easily move it around. You haven't gone in and done the like high-level details yet. And you can kind of pre-visualize where you want things to be before you deep dive into getting all the tiny details put into place. Yep, and this is like a next step in the blocking phase. Okay, start playing with some of the texturing. You see, like Helen really pointed out and sent us so many great historical pictures of the beams, the Tudor beams. And I'm not sure if we have a picture in here of the doors, but even down to like the door handle, making sure that it was the right Swedish door handle and the way that it opens. Oh yeah, additional details. Oh, you can see actually one neat thing when you're still in that early detail phase where you're adding in is like if you see down in the bottom right, like the idea of like, okay, we'll have vases, and then you can actually draw on top of the picture that you've already modeled, like, okay, let's add some, like these few flowers here, and like, how do you feel about this chair? And the cookies were a part of the book, so including little details like that.
Tell us about the cookies. Why are the cookies important?
Sure. Can I spoil just a little bit of the beginning of the book? So, just a tiny bit. So, my female character, Hannah, she hired a male baker, which was kind of a big deal in her community, that she was a guy's boss. And on the first day on the job, he brought, oh, now you can really hear me. Thank you. On the first day on the job, they sit down to discuss the first day, and he opens his breakfast box, and he just closes like, oh, I'm leaving. And he walks out, and he opens it again, and a live frog hops out that his daughter packed. And he was terrified, like, this is it. But Hannah was like, oh, wow, you have a daughter who dares to do this? All right, I'm naming the cafe the Frog. So there's a lot of frogs here.
So you'll see these frog cookies, and you can actually pick them up and eat them, which is very, very cool. So I have to give Christi credit for that. When you get a chance to go visit this, and I hope that you all get a chance to go visit it, and what platforms are they on?
So we're in Engage. Mm-hmm. Yeah, where Helen hosts.
Microphone.
Oh, we're in Engage, where Helen hosts discussion series, if you want to talk to the discussions.
Yeah, exactly. So every month I have a discussion series, usually different topics. One that we had was really popular this year was imposter syndrome. So I usually have a guest speaker and come and just kind of start the topic, and then I open up the room for discussion, and we all talk about it. So it can be anything. We had one discussion on menopause. We had another discussion on women's history in art, and art in women's history. And then every Thursday I have Swedish coffee hour called Fika.
So one of the things I want to point out that is very, very important, it's great that you have this idea or that you have a book that you make into a story, but the community is just as important as what you build. If you don't bring that community in, one, they don't know it's there, but two, that's how you promote it. That's how you promote either your book or your idea or what you're trying to convey, is by having that community, having that connection. And so it's very important to also have events in your world once you create them. And she's done a beautiful job of creating that community. So that's part of the world building. It's not just the physical part, which I understand you did in Unity, right? Correct?
Blender and then Unity, yeah.
Right. And she did a beautiful job of creating all the very details, the pictures, the artwork, the things that tell the story within it. Even the little details as we showed back, and I don't know how to go backwards, with the flowers, right? But building that community is just as important. So Helen's gone through and done all of these events to be able to bring people into our world, and they can keep coming back and visit on their own, but it gives them an opportunity to see it and build that community and build that and build friends that take place within your world as well. Yep, there's a slide on it. Tell us your plans for the future, both of you. Go ahead.
Should I start?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So continue to have my Swedish fika hour, coffee hour every Thursday, and have different events and discussions, because I think that's really important. And I always say that we're standing on our foremothers' shoulders, and I want to continue their work because we still have work to do as women to lift each other up, and that's what I want to continue to do in the Foremothers Café. Thank you.
Christi, and what are your plans?
Keep building. Yeah.
Well, I meant more to the project, because I know that there are plans for more.
Oh, yes. So whenever Helen's ready and has the plan, I would love to further build out, like, if we could build out that street to make it part of the actual situated place that it was in Sweden, because right now the main focus is on the cafe, and you go into the cafe. There's a flower shop next door, but like that flower shop could be further built out to where you could walk in there, and because it's mentioned in the book, the flower shop. So building on that world and maybe adding more to the cows and the hills and adding some pathways. Yeah.
And some of the other buildings too from the story,
Yep.
where the pregnant women lived and all that. I would spoil too much of say too much.
So I'm excited to see it, because they do put so much detail in it, and that's key. A lot of people build worlds, but they don't put the detail in it, the things, the interactive detail as well. So it's not just having the vision or the picture, but being able to pick up the chairs and move the chairs in a circle so we can sit around and talk, or pick up the cookies and eat it, or pour a cup of coffee into a coffee cup and take that coffee to the table with you, right? These are all little details, but they make the world interactive and fun, and wanting to come back even when she's not there to experience them. Being able to look at a book and see the book is a lot of fun as well. So all of these little interactive things, you can go in the back and make a cookie if you want, and see how the cookies were made.
Yeah, those frog cookies, a neat little detail. So out front, the ready frog cookies are out there, ready to eat. But if you go back into the scullery, you'll actually see where they're being made, where the roller is in the dough. And you'll see some little frog cookie cutters laying around back there. So all those little details to kind of bring the lived experience, the life that's happening in this space, to life for people who then join in. It helps.
And mint leaves on their backs.
And mint leaves. And I'll have to get them the recipe to put up on the wall so you guys can come in and look at the recipe and learn how to do it. I've been meaning to do that, but I will get that done. So I want to, before we go to Q&A, I want to thank our significant others who are sitting over here in the corner for being so supportive of us women in XR for the work that we do. And so I just wanted to throw that in there before we go to Q&A. So questions?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, ladies, for the detail, right? I'm hungry now. I would like some cookies and coffee. Here we go. Got a question right here.
Yes, speaking of being hungry, every time I look at those loaves of bread, that's what really is enticing to me. They look amazing. They're super delicious. And, I love going into VR and being in environments that are enormous and then have all these neon colors and being able to dance to music and doing all these things. But the Foremothers Café is very different. The colors of the red on the walls, the lighting, the textures of the wood, and everything, it's just feels very warm and welcoming. And even going outside into the environments there, it just has such a different feel from any place else I've been to in VR. And also, I love the way that Helen is able to, her manner of facilitating the conversations that take place there. She just really gives people space, and it's beautiful. It's a wonderful, wonderful place, and I love the collaboration. And now I've forgotten the question I was going to add, but so I'll give the mic to someone else. I apologize.
We love you,
Thank you for that. Yes, thank
You touched on a really wonderful point, which is that it takes all the pieces together, right? Not just the details, not just the community, not just the heart, not just the partners. So, yeah, next question.
Hey, I really like the space and between the tables. How did you think about that if you want people to have lots of room to seat, but also want to have a really, really spacious cafe as they should be? What was kind of the thinking through that?
I'll start, but so originally we did have set table areas for seating where you leave room for people to gather around in between. And one extra little detail note, there's a specific sleeping sofa in there too that's from Sweden. That was a key point. Helen pointed out, like, oh, it needs to be like this because this is actually historically accurate. But then once we got into Engage, one of the things we started playing with is taking more things out of that base. So we model in Blender, bring it into Unity, taking them out of that Unity scene that's uploaded and turning them into Engage. It's called IFX. So that then Helen actually had started just rearranging the seats and tables like one might do when you have a big gathering who's maybe standing around. So that was kind of a fun thing that we got to start playing with in Engage, going from that static scene that has interactive things, but more into the Helen can rearrange as she wants to.
I have to say, I feel like when I was little and my dad gave me a dollhouse. And they're moving around the furniture and everything. And one of the things I did, I moved one of the chairs over to another table as if somebody was joining another table and there's no more chairs. Or she or he had to, or they had to bring the chair over. And so I love that. And yeah, it's fun.
Thank you. We have time for one more quick question. Do I have a hand? Okay. So again, this is a beautiful blend, right, of storytelling, of community, of technical expertise, and of also the ability to look at all the different platforms, right, and pull from which one is working best for you or for your community or for the people that you want to engage with. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that, but it came out. So thank you so much, ladies. Please give them a hand, and thank you for joining us today. And if you want to chat with them, I know that they'll be back here in the office. Back here in the back.
If you have any ideas or dreams that you would like to make into a reality, please come talk to Christi and I, and maybe we can help you do that. Thank you.